Hello! So, today I'm going to talk about Thor, the thunder god, great he-man of the Old Norse pantheon, and I'm going to talk about how the lore of Thor may possibly indicate that people in ancient times may have known more about electricity and how to conduct it than mainstream history generally takes for granted. Now, in the myth of Thor, let's present Thor. He's often referred to as the manly god. Makes you wonder if the other gods were not that manly, and the answer to that is no, they were not that manly. They cross-dressed, they changed sex, they got themselves castrated and gave birth even. So, they were quite gender ambiguous, and another time we can talk about what that means. But for now, suffice it to say that Thor actually stands out as the masculine guy of Asgard. Now, what is all this masculinity about? It is all about protection. So, Thor is the son of Earth, and he's often called Thor Fjörgyn's son. That means Thor, son of life struggle. Now, Fjörgyn, life struggle, is another name for Earth, and Thor is also often just called the son of Earth. Now, Thor's main function as a god, his life mission, is to protect his Mother Earth from the perpetual attacks of gigantic destructive forces from Utgarder. Now, Utgarder means the world outside. That would be the world outside of Earth, or just the unknown. But, okay, so what does Thor actually represent? No, yeah, Thor. Okay, let's do this quick. Thor is derived from the Proto-Norse word Sunrar, which means thunder. So Thor is the thunder, and he, the thunder, is married to goddess Seif. Now, Seif, her name just means a relation by marriage, in this case his wife. Not much of an independent person, you could say, but actually all the various superpowers that are female in the Old Norse cosmos are just aspects of the great goddess. And this is not something I'm just saying. There is overwhelming textual evidence for this, and surprisingly enough, because of this evidence, there is a general academic consensus that this was the case. The Vikings believed in a great goddess that was behind all the other female powers in the universe. And I will add that the goddess was considered the source of all light, and she's often described as beaming with light, with sunlight, with rays of lightning, yeah, indeed, and with flames, generally brightness, and with her hair made out of pure gold. It seems safe to say that Seif is the goddess in her aspect as the wife of thunder, and that she is the lightning. Now, Thor's intimate connection with lightning is enforced by the hall in which he lives, and it is called Bilskirnir, and that means a swift momentary passing shine, which would be the lightning. Now, this makes sense, thunder living inside lightning, and today, of course, we know that thunder is the sound of lightning. Now, this hall of lightning is situated in a realm called Thrudvanger, and Thrudvanger means the power field. Now, so this realm is situated in the sky, and today we know that the sky, that is the atmosphere, the ionosphere, the stratosphere, is it's a field of power, and it's charged with electricity and lightning, that is. And we know that this atmospheric electromagnetic power network actually does protect the Earth from destructive influx from outer space. And of course, the fact that the thunder god lives inside and is married to the lightning, and that this lightning is situated in something called the power field, and that this power field is in the sky, and that his main occupation is to protect the Earth from negative influences from the so-called outer world. Well, it does not prove that the Old Norse people actually knew that the atmosphere really is a power field of electromagnetism that does protect the Earth from influences from outer space. Doesn't prove that, but we're not stopping at this. Let us have a look at Thor's most famous attribute, his hammer. Now, his hammer is called Mjölnir, and that derives from the Proto-Norse word meluniar, and it could be related to Old Slavic and Old Russian names for lightning. But it could also be related to Gothic and Old Norse words for to grind, the grinder. And both these meanings make sense. They do not exclude each other. People in those days, they love double meanings. So lightning is described with 3 metaphors as a magical number, actually, as the hall, as the wife, and as the weapon of the thunder god. And it is the hammer that gives Thor his power to protect. So when Thor hurls his hammer, it will destroy the giants of the outer world by grinding them into little particles before the hammer returns to his hand. And this is exactly what happens to the influx from outer space when it enters Earth's electromagnetic field. It actually does. This is actually how the power field of the sky does protect the Earth. It turns things into little particles. Now, moreover, and here comes the best bit. Now, we all know that electricity is conducted through metal, and that you need 2 ends that are polar opposites in order to make that power go around and to conduct it, basically. Now, in order for Thor to hurl his lightning bolt hammer and make it return to him, in order to be hurled again, he has to wear a belt, and this belt has to be made out of iron. And the belt has a name. It's called the Megingjörður, the power belt. Now, this iron power belt has to be around Thor, and he has to wear an iron glove on the left hand and an iron glove on the right hand in order to clasp his hammer and make the circuit, basically, with the belt. And this is the only way the myths tell us that he can control this lightning bolt hammer. Now, I want to point out that people in the past were not more stupid than we are today. They had the capacity of observation, they had the capacity for analysis and for making experiments, and they were expert craftsmen, capable of making very advanced metal equipment. And I think it's perfectly, entirely possible that people in the past have figured out how electricity works. But if you had managed to conduct electricity 1,000 years ago or more, you yourself and anybody around you would have considered this knowledge magical, sacred, divine. And the only way to transmit this knowledge would be through a sacred language, and that would be the language of poetry. In the Old Norse, this poetry was based on metaphors, on allegory and myth. And it would be easy to remember. It would be cleverly disguised as a story. I love that kind of stuff. But truly understandable only to those who had been initiated into the secret, or to those intelligent enough to crack the code. And alright, so this lore of Thor would have been a perfect example of how this kind of knowledge would have been transmitted in this time. Of course, now I'm not pretending that I have proven that Thor, the lore of Thor, is actually about electricity and how to conduct it, but of course it could be completely coincidental, but it is interesting. And if we are ever going to understand our past, we have to limit our minds within a paradigm of preconceptions about what these people knew and what they didn't. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and let me know if you want more, because there's a lot more where this comes from. Alright, good night everyone.